Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everybody else. This is John Paval with the Access Arts Live weekly roundup of orchestral and chamber performances for the week of August 11th to August 18th. We're combining the two of them rather than doing orchestral and chamber work separately because there is not that much going on this week to tell you about, at least not at this point in time. We may have other things to add to it later. Now, having said that, I can tell you that this week's live streams include two rousing performances for the last week of the Lakes Area Music Festival up in Minnesota, led by rising star conductor Christian Reef. I'll tell you a little bit more about him. It includes music by two women composers whom you may not yet know. It includes a complete score to a Stravinsky ballet being played down under in Brazil, up-and-coming opera singers, accomplished fiddlers, and some very, very now music for baritone solo. So having said that, let me remind you, if you're watching this on Facebook, please like the video. If you're watching on any of our other platforms, please subscribe and or follow Access Arts Live on YouTube, Facebook, X, TikTok, Instagram, Threads, and or LinkedIn. Now, let's get to some of all of these performances that you see there in that first photograph. And the first performance we have for you is coming up tomorrow evening from the Lakes Area Music Festival. Feel free to comment if you're watching live. Restream on which we live stream, which puts us on 4 different platforms simultaneously, tells me that if you that you make some comments or chat comments from any of our platforms, that we will see them. So seeing is believing. That's Christian Reef there, who conducts the Lakes Area Music Festival Orchestra. So let's get started. Wednesday, August 13th, globetrotting conductor Christian Reef conducts the Lakes Area Music Festival Orchestra in a rousing concert of Haydn's Miracle Symphony, Shostakovich's Ninth, and a Serbian composer, conductor, and pianist, the late Isidora Zabelian. A very worthy festival outing. That will be at 7:30 in the evening, Central Daylight Time in the U.S. That's where Minnesota is, which will be 8:30 on the East Coast, 4:30 in the morning here in Europe. Fairly unwatchable, but 12:30 down under in Australia, in places like Sydney. Christian Reef is he was for several years, for like 3 years back in the teens, resident conductor and director of the youth orchestra at the San Francisco Symphony. Then he's been working on other projects with the Orchestre Nationale de Lyon. He's been working with the Lincoln Center's Mostly Mozart Festival, and this year he's giving debut performances with the LA Phil, with the Phoenix Symphony, the Detroit Symphony, near and dear to my heart, the National Arts Center Orchestra in Canada, the Stuttgart Orchestra, known as the SWR Symphony Orchestra in Germany, etc. And he's the AD and chief conductor of the Gävle Symphony here in Sweden. Gävle is about 120 miles north of Stockholm. At least it's 3 or 4 hours in the train. Along the way, by the way, he did study with Alan Gilbert at the Julian School, so he learned how to do it right. What they'll be doing are 3 pieces. I told you about 2 of them already, what they are, but the third one, I didn't give you the name. It's called The Horses of St. Mark. Now, this was composed by Isidora Zabelian, a Serbian composer who left us in 2020. And it's sad. She was only 53 years old at the time. That's very early to pass away at the time. And she was a prolific and well appreciated composer. Over 100 pieces she composed, including 5 operas. And she composed for people like on commission for the Vienna Symphony, the Academy of St. Martin in the Fields, the Brodsky Quartet. She also composed music for theater productions in Serbia, Norway, Croatia, Montenegro, and worked on a number of film scores. Anyway, this piece called The Horses of St. Mark comes, I can present it to you with a quotation from the late composer who had this to say about this piece. There is a legend that God gave the Greek sculptor Lysippus the ability to make an alloy that could last forever. Lysippus cast 4 horses from this alloy. Constantine the Great placed them at the gate of the Hippodrome and bade them to preserve the myth of the East and the legend that gave them birth. As a demonstration of their eternal might, famed emperors and commanders took them to the West. As they traveled over the Levant and Europe, the horses carried with them songs from their homeland, lest they forget their land of origin. The empires have since fallen, yet the horses live on to the glory of their creator's idea. Isidora Zabelian wrote that. So if you tune in and enjoy that music, you have words from the composer herself. The next piece I want to tell you about takes us down under to Sao Paulo and the Sao Paolo Symphony Orchestra, also known with the nickname of OSESP, O-S-E-S-P. And I'm not going to try to tell you what those letters stand for in Portuguese. And I have a composite picture of the people participating in this one. It's a Beethoven and Stravinsky evening, and this is a continuing interest in Beethoven on the part of Tom Barrow, the pianist here. And I'm sorry, there's a typo in his name there in that photo. It's Barrow. It's Barrow, B-O-R-R-O-W. Friday, August 15th, the Sao Paulo Orchestra live streams its resident artist, pianist Tom Barrow, taking on Beethoven's Piano Concerto No. 5 and Japanese maestro Masaki Suzuki conducting Igor Stravinsky's Pulcinella, the complete ballet score, including songs. That'll be at 8 o'clock in the evening down under in Brazil on Friday, which is 7 o'clock on the East Coast, 4 o'clock on the West Coast in the U.S., 1 o'clock in the morning in Europe, and 9 o'clock Saturday morning down under in Australia. They'll do Beethoven's Piano Concerto No. 5 in E-flat major, Opus 73, the Emperor Concerto. Last week, they did Beethoven's Piano Concerto No. 4. Tom Barrow, their resident artist, pianist, is... he's interested in playing all the Beethoven concertos he can with them. The interesting thing about that concerto is that Beethoven wrote that one in the middle of writing everything else, the 6th and 7th symphonies, the choral fantasy, and the Sonata Les Adieux. He was writing everything at the time and managed at the same time to add this on, and that happened repeatedly with Beethoven. The other part of the program is Pulcinella, which was this was a commission from the Ballet Russe, the Russian ballet company, as a follow-up to the Rite of Spring, but it was being, even though the Rite of Spring was a very revolutionary ballet, which caused a riot in Paris when it was first presented. This piece, Stravinsky was working off of inspiration from 18th century compositions. So interesting evening. I give you the singers. That's Tom Barrow and Masaki Suzuki that you see in the picture there. The singers below are there are songs in the full ballet score, and the singers are soprano Jonah Martinez, the tenor Valentin Ditiuk, and Paolo Schopp, the bass baritone. Another, I think that's an interesting concert for your Friday evening pleasure, if you are so inclined. And then there's one more symphonic concert this week, and that it will be on Sunday, if I can find it. Yeah. Sunday, August 17th, the Lakes Area Music Festival's grand finale. It could hardly be grander. They're playing music from The Lord of the Rings. They're playing Wagner's Ring Without Words. And they're playing a stormy piece by that young French composer, Camille Pépin. That's at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Minnesota time, 4 o'clock on the East Coast, 10 o'clock in the evening here in Europe, 6 o'clock in the morning down under in Australia. What a lineup. It's Howard Shore's music from The Lord of the Rings. And then Lorin Maazel came up with a compilation of the music from Wagner's Ring Cycle, that four opera enormous cycle called Ring Without Words, and that they'll be playing then. So that's all very bombastic music, to say the least. There will be I want to show you a photo of the composer that's involved in the other piece that they're doing, though. This is Camille Pépin. We were telling you about how the Lakes Area Music Festival on Wednesday, August 13th, is doing a piece by the Serbian composer who just passed away a few years ago, Isidora Zebelian, and they will conclude their week doing a piece by a young French composer who's also a woman. So hats off to them, and I love these combinations of stellar names like Beethoven or Stravinsky, and then including contemporary or modern women composers who we may not be as familiar with. I did look up Camille Pépin. She is much loved among the French. She hasn't written any symphonies, but she's written duets, trios, quartets, and quintets. She has written works for orchestra, like the piece in this particular case, but no symphonies. She's written concertos for violin, for flute and harp, for cello and clarinet, for harp and marimba, rather than just one instrument. The piece they're playing to go with music from The Lord of the Rings and Ring Without Words, the Wagner music, is called Aux confins de l'orage, at the edge of the storm. So you can expect that it has some bombast in it. She has had her music played by the Boston Symphony, by the Montreal Symphony. In fact, this month, both the Boston Symphony and the Montreal Orchestra will be playing other pieces by her. And she's been played by the BBC Symphony Orchestra, the Frankfurt Orchestra, the Hamburg Phil, the Orchestre Philharmonique of Radio France, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So this is a top up and coming, or beyond up and coming. She's a rising star. I'm not sure how to call it. She's established herself as a coming compositional force to be reckoned with on the French music scene. And you might want to tune in, if only to hear that. If hearing this is great Ring Without Words piece or music from Lord of the Rings isn't enough. Wow. So hats off, by the way, to the Lakes Area Music Festival. Each week they have put on 2 or 3 live streams of performances on their main stage, free of charge to the global audience. And we just think that's terrific. And they've all been quality productions. So we'll look forward to seeing them next year. Now, since we have some time, I want to go on to talk to you about 3 other smaller work productions, which may be of interest to you and may not. They're not orchestral. Now we're back in the realm of something which is more like chamber music, although the first of them is operatic, and it involves all those young singers that you can see there in that photograph. If you have a soft spot in your heart for eager, up-and-coming opera singers, you might want to check out Sing from the Heart which is a live stream concert of the participants in the Charm City Opera Retreat's 2-week professional development experience. And that's on Tuesday, August 12th. That's, I think that's today. Yes. That will be at 7 p.m. on the East Coast, 4 o'clock in the afternoon on the West Coast, 1 o'clock at night here in Europe, and 9 o'clock Wednesday morning down under in Australia. Charm City Opera Retreat. It's a 2-week training program. The singers range in age from the early 20s to the mid 40s, and it's designed to equip them to better compete in a highly competitive context. So I can commend it to you as such, as something that you could watch later today in about in about 6 hours. Yeah, it's about 7 o'clock in the evening here in Europe now, and it will be at 7 in the evening Eastern Daylight Time, which is 6 hours from now. Then, next up, I told you there would be fiddlers, and there are. There they are right there. I don't know if you're familiar with the group called Andi Musik. Andi Musik, that comes from a piece by Schubert, which is it's a song by Schubert about how music was life itself to Schubert, who didn't live all that long, by the way. Anyway, Andi Musik and the Baltimore Irish Music School live streamed the top fiddling duo of Nathan Gourley and Laura Fedderse this Sunday, August 17th, 6 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. This is an Irish fiddling duo from Boston, Mass. They play Irish traditional music as colored by their American origins. And they tell us they have a unique sort of twin fiddle style where sometimes they play in unison and then sometimes they spread out. They've released several projects that you can find online. We give you the link to their website. And if you go to their website, you can hear some of their music in advance and see if that is something that appeals to you. It's Irish traditional music as played by a traditional music specialist on the fiddle who happened to be very American. And then we have one more live stream to tell you about, and it's what I like to call not new music, but now music. The kind of music that you may be hearing it performed for the very first time. And sometimes involves improvisational aspects such that it could not have existed before the improvisation was done. But that is not the case this time. Monday, August 18th, Composers Concordance and Vox Novus are back early from summer break with a live stream of Andrew White, baritone, and pianist David Wolfson, showcasing new works for the baritone voice, ranging from a cappella to pieces with piano and electronics. This is the kind of thing where all you can say is, show up or blow up. You don't know what it is until you hear it. It's not established music. It comes to you direct from the Ellington Room at Manhattan Plaza. Both Composers Concordance and Vox Novus specialize in the most contemporary now music available on the planet. If you want to know more about Andrew White and his interest in electronic music and contemporary compositions, you can go to the Access Arts Live YouTube page. I did about a 45-minute interview with Andrew White on the occasion of an electronic music festival a few months ago. And so you can hear more about him and about this kind of music. This is... Composers Concordance is run by a composer and electronic guitarist and genre-breaking musician named Gene Pritzker. And if you look up Composers Concordance, you can look them up on their Facebook page. They do live streaming all the time, 2 or 3 live streams per week, free of charge on their Facebook page during the regular year. But during the summer, they've been kind of down. This is a photo of the baritone. It's Andrew White. He teaches at the University of Nebraska in Kearney. He was an award-winning young singer when he was coming up in the 90s, and then went into academia, which is where he has found his home. The pianist accompanying him will be David Wolfson, who has, he's composed opera, musical theater, children's musicals, incidental music for plays, choral music, band music. He's basically composed just about anything he could come up with, and performed a lot in different theaters and with theater orchestras. So if completely new music excites you, this is your bag. If you want to know, well, listen, what is being created now? I mean, now. That's what you'll hear. So there's the photo of Andrew White, and I can also show you a photo of the pianist, David Wolfson. and that's what we have for you this week. We have 3 excellent symphonic concerts, and then 3, I would say, interesting concerts along the lines of chamber music. I hope that one, more, some, or any of these live streams uplifts you, inspires you, or just shows you a heck of a good time. I think that fiddling concert is going to be a really good time, and I am so looking forward to discovering these compositions by Camille Pépin, the rising French composer, and by Isidora Zabeljan, the Serbian composer. I don't know the work of either of them, and I think it's worth tuning it in to discover them, because that also is part of the music of our time. Let me remind you before I log off, if you're watching this video on Facebook, please like the video. If you're watching us on any of our other platforms, please follow and or subscribe to Access Arts Live on YouTube, Facebook, X, TikTok, Instagram, Threads, and or LinkedIn, and we will continue to provide you with more than 1,000 live links to live performances in the coming year. We are the only online page or outlet which can make that claim. We did it in the last year. We started last June, and in that first years, we came up with more than 1,000 high-quality live performances online to tell you about. Now, the closest anybody else can come is one competitor who will remain unnamed that can give you 150 live streams. Well, that's 10% of what we offer you. It's free of charge. So let me encourage you to follow us and or subscribe to us. I'll be signing off now. I may be back on Friday for weekend highlights. If not, keep an eye on our pages on these various platforms, because we will put out individual clips to remind you about some of these great concerts that are live streams that are coming up this week, most of which are absolutely free of charge.